Welcome to The Street Reviewer, a channel where books, films, plays, and ideas are not reviewed for entertainment alone, but examined for what they reveal about human behavior, power, fear, and moral responsibility. Here, stories are not summaries. They are confrontations. Today, we are reviewing George Orwell's 1984, and we must begin with honesty. 1984 is not a prediction. It is a permission test. It does not ask what governments can do to people. It asks what people will allow to be done to them. Orwell does not imagine a world of sudden tyranny. He imagines a world where truth is slowly replaced by convenience, where memory becomes dangerous, where language becomes obedient, where fear becomes ordinary. Big Brother is not terrifying because he watches. He is terrifying because he is believed. The party does not demand loyalty. It demands agreement with contradiction. In 1984, the most radical crime is not rebellion. It is independent thought. Winston Smith is not a hero. He is a man trying to remember. And in a society built on forgetting, memory itself becomes resistance. This is Orwell's cruel genius. He shows us that tyranny does not need violence when it has language. It does not need chains when it has slogans. It does not need prisons when it has confession. The Ministry of Truth does not erase facts. It replaces them, because when truth can be edited, reality becomes suggestion. The most frightening idea in 1984 is not surveillance. It is doublethink, the ability to hold two opposite ideas and accept both. To know something is false and still believe it. This is not madness. It is training. And Orwell shows us that once the mind accepts contradiction, morality collapses quietly. O'Brien is not evil because he tortures. He is evil because he believes. He believes power is not a means, but an end. He does not want obedience. He wants surrender. Julia, in contrast, resists only in pleasure. Winston resists in thought. And Orwell shows us that neither is enough, because a system that controls truth will eventually control desire. The love story in 1984 is not romantic. It is tragic, because it proves that intimacy cannot survive where language is owned. The final betrayal is not when Winston betrays Julia. It is when he betrays himself, when he stops remembering, when he stops questioning, when he stops resisting, when he learns to love Big Brother. This is not character failure. It is human vulnerability. Orwell is not warning us about dictators. He is warning us about exhaustion, about how tired people trade truth for safety, about how frightened people trade freedom for order, about how lonely people trade conscience for belonging. And here is what makes 1984 unbearable. It does not end with collapse. It ends with acceptance. The system does not destroy Winston's body. It educates his soul. And that is Orwell's darkest truth, because society does not survive by silencing rebels. It survives by converting them. 1984 is not about the future. It is about what happens when we stop defending the present. It is about how censorship does not begin with burning books, but with editing sentences. How surveillance does not begin with cameras, but with permission. How obedience does not begin with fear, but with repetition. If you read 1984 as science fiction, you will admire it. If you read it as a moral diagnosis, you may fear yourself inside it, because Orwell is not asking what power can do. He is asking what will excuse. This book does not comfort. It clarifies. It does not entertain. It disciplines. It does not flatter. It exposes. And it leaves us with a truth too heavy to ignore. Freedom does not disappear when it is stolen. It disappears when it is forgotten. If you have never read 1984, read it not as a story, but as a mirror. And if you have read it before, return to it. You will discover that the world has changed, but Orwell has not. If you want reviews that summarize plots, there are thousands of channels for that. But if you want reviews that sharpen your judgment, disturb your comfort, and refine your thinking, then you belong here. Subscribe to The Street Reviewer, not to agree, but to think, not to escape, but to recognize, not to be entertained, but to be awakened. Read, reflect, and stay curious. If you have any books, plays, films, or popular culture you'd like me to review, please list them in the comments. Also, Do not forget to share your thoughts and perspective on this review in the comments. Thanks for listening.